Thank you so much for you remembering this. Very good. So we are going to talk a little bit about mesmer, animal magnetism, and then we are going to talk also about Kardec, mesmer and Kardec. So I am the worst person with time ever. So I have to be, because I talk too much, as you notice. So let's go. So this is just a little thing that she put together because she found an interesting quote about Isaac Newton. So I will read. And now we might add something concerning a certain most subtle spirit, which pervades and lies hid in all gross bodies, by the force and action of which spirit the particles of bodies mutually attract one another at near distances and cohere, and electric bodies operate to greater distances, and the members of animal bodies move at the command of the will, namely by vibrations of this spirit, mutually propagated along the solid filaments of the nerves from the outward organs of sense of the brain and from the brain into the muscles. I know it sounds extremely scientific, and it is, because Isaac was one of the most famous mathematicians and also physicist, astronomer, alchemist, theologian, and he was an author too. And you can see that he discarnated in 1727, and the mesmer was already born. No, was not born when Isaac was living, but he admired Isaac's thoughts, and as Isaac said, there is something that's an energy that controls the brain and controls the physical body and can donate some kind of energy. So it's more or less what he said. The quote from Franz Mesmer is, all bodies, animals, plants, trees, water, even stones are impregnated with this magic fluid, which might be propagated to a considerable distance. So Mesmer is going to go through a little bit of this later on, and I'm going to give you some kind of background to understand who was Mesmer. So here, can you see this? So here we see Franz Anton Mesmer. He was a German physician, and he was very interested in astronomy. So he theorized the existence of natural energy transference occurring between all animated and inanimated objects. This he called animal magnetism, and later on it was called mesmerism. And as John was mentioning before, nowadays we even say, I am mesmerized, like I am really surprised. And when we say mesmerized, it comes from mesmer, from the name mesmer. This picture here, I found it very interesting because it looks like the man has some kind of filaments or little cords connected to the body of the person, but actually is a representation of the energy that he is putting on her. So this is just for you to see that when Mesmer talked about energy, he really didn't understand exactly how it worked, but he knew it worked, but he didn't have a fully understanding of how it was done. So this is why for us is like a base. It's important to understand who was Mesmer, because he's actually the one who gave like the base for our understanding of healing passes, the energy that can come from a human being to another. So this is a book that he wrote, The Discovery of Animal Magnetism. So very nice. It was, I think it was in French, and then they have the translation into English. So here, let's talk about animal magnetism again. So he knew that this theory that he had created or discovered was actually curing diseases. So It cured diseases, but mostly the ones connected to the power of suggestion, and later they were referred as hypnosis. And he successfully treated illness rooted in the mind, psychosomatic illnesses. So what happened is Mesmer understood that he had some kind of energy, and he said everyone has this energy that he called magnetism, animal magnetism. So my energy can be transmitted to someone else. But of course, in that time, he didn't understand basis that it can connect it through a spirit. He didn't understand any need of a prayer. He just understood the energy that it could help others. And it's important for us to know also, if you Google Mesmer, you will find lots and lots of websites, information, researches saying it was just like a lie, that he never cured anyone, because every single person was induced by his persona, by his magnetism. But it's not true. What happened is that Mesmer thought that this energy could cure anything. He thought it could cure any type of disease that ever existed in that time. And yes, it might be able to cure, it might be able to alleviate, but as he was a physician, there was a commission of physicians that was put in place to investigate. So they first investigated him in his city, in his country, and when they couldn't prove it was 100% effective, they said it was a lie. And he had patients that improved a lot, but he really didn't have any scientific base that could be more effective. He ended up going to France. And in France, they were very much open to any type of spirituality, and also to any type of a different type of treatment, physical treatment. Because as you can imagine, in the 1700s, the physicians used very different types of treatments. The one that was very common was the leeches, that they had a cut and they put leeches, and these leeches were sucking our blood because they thought it was some kind of a treatment. They had other treatments that they just cut you, and the blood had to be coming out of your body, because they thought the blood had some kind of disease. So they used to do this type of treatments that were not effective to most of the treatments in the time. So when Mesmer came to France, and he said he had a treatment called animal magnetism, that you don't need to cut the body, they thought it was wonderful. So he started the procedures. Then he got famous. He got famous to a point that it was very difficult to attend one-on-one persons. And then he created this machine. So this machine, he had many different types. This is one of them. This is almost like a round piece of wood. And you see there are some filaments of metal. And then he put water inside, so it was like for the water to connect to electricity. Each person would hold this string of metal, and there was a magnet on the point of each one. And then he started the treatment. And the treatment, he didn't do a prayer, but he started almost like a guided meditation. He lowered the lights. His voice was very soothing, and everybody started like feeling like calmer. And then he started talking about each person that was going to receive the treatment at that moment. So in a rudimentary way, it is kind of similar to Passe. So it's interesting. The ones that did this treatment, lots of them they had problems of schizophrenia, stress, mental issues, exactly as it was mentioned, and they improved a lot. But other ones that they had problems in the leg, internal organs, then they were not fully cured, and that's why the physicians of the time mentioned that he only cured people that were already inclined to be cured, but not really understanding that some physical diseases, they are with us, and we know that nowadays we have surgeries, we have vaccines, we have much more effective medications. And if someone has has some kind of a disease that actually is an infection or something that needs, how do you call, IV? Yeah, you could say IV, but it's like something that was discovered much later on that to stop the infection. Antibiotics, yes. So, it's not that it could be healed, or like a broken arm. You cannot heal with a Passe. You can improve the pain, but not fix the bone. So here is just like a curiosity. So Mesmer went to France, and he became extremely famous. And here is the physician of the court in the picture. You can see like a picture of Marie Antoinette and the French court. And this man is not Mesmer himself, but is one of the Mesmer students. And he was mesmerized with the technique of Mesmer, and he went there to show the queen what was possible to do and how it was done. And then Marie Antoinette got extremely curious. She brought Mesmer to the court. So Mesmer started giving animal magnetism treatment to her and to all the people in the French court. Of course, the king found it a little bit strange that Mesmer was every single day in the court, and that he commanded a commission of physicians to be there and investigate deeply the treatment of Mesmer. One of these people that was invited was Benjamin Franklin, our American friend. So he was one of them there. While every single physician, Benjamin was not a physician per se, but he had a lot of understanding. Most of them said that this was a lie, there is nothing proved, but Benjamin Franklin said there is something that we cannot understand, but he actually effectively helps some people. Why he helps, we don't know. But as nowadays we know, Benjamin Franklin later on became a spiritist. And he even mentioned in his, he wrote an epitaph about his own death that he wanted to have written on his tomb that when he passed, his physical body was being discarded, but he was going to soon come back in a much better way, in a much more improved, intelligent, beautiful way, because life goes on and just the physical body dies. So it's just a curiosity for us, but it's a very, very interesting. So now we have here Mesmer and Kardec. So Mesmer died in 1815, and we see Kardec was born in 1804. So Kardec was a very young child when the Mesmer discarnate. But another curiosity that's good for us to know, Kardec, he lived in Everdon, in Switzerland, when he completed his studies from Switzerland. He moved to France. And when he moved to France, he was already very, very interested in lots of spiritual studies. He was a really scientific mind, but he was open-minded. So when he moved to France, he met some people, and they were members of the Hypnotist Society, and he joined it. He joined it when he was 18 years old. So this is good for us to know. A lot of people don't know, but Kardec was a magnetist and a hypnotist since the age of 18. And these societies in the past, they were very exclusive. It was not something, oh, I want to join, yeah, join. No, it was not like this. You had to prove that you had capacity, you had qualities, you were a serious person, you wanted to learn. He was just 18 years old, but he had this quality. So just for us to understand that from very, very young age, he was already open-minded to understand certain things that the eyes couldn't see, but they might existed. And I don't need to talk about Kardec because we are all here. We are already students of Spiritism, so we know Kardec is the codifier of Spiritism. He is not the inventor of Spiritism. Kardec just codified the books that were brought by the spirits by a series of mediums, some of them very young, children actually, but he was the mind that was able to put all together. And he was the one who was asking, later on, asking questions to the spirits and codifying the answers in a way that it could be very organized. And that's why we have the Pentateuch with the 5 books. And later on, we had other books. Kardec also wrote other books that were not just the Pentateuch. People think that he only wrote 5 books, but no, he wrote many books. He actually wrote one book talking about how a spiritist center should be organized. And it's very interesting. That time, he gave ideas to be followed, but he even mentioned, this is not supposed to be a law. This is supposed to be a guidance for us all to understand and how to better behave in a society. He also wrote a book called What is Spiritism? And is a book that I have been studying on the first Thursday of the month in Kardec Radio. It's really interesting. It's a summary of the whole doctrine. So it's really, really a great book. And so now I'm going to pass here to my co-host, and Patricia will continue.
Hello, everybody. Hello, dear ones. So I'll share with you my studies, and please ask any questions if you have when we're done. So I will start with the very basic, that is the elements of the universe. So according to the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec, we have the question 27, we have the universal trinity, that is the elements that from all that exists in the universe. So we have God, one element, we have the spirit, another element, and we have matter. And inside matter, we have a variation of compositions. So we go from very dense composition to very subtle. So between that has so many variations, and that variation of matter is the differentiation of vibrations. So we can have higher vibrations, we can have lower vibrations, and inside of all that composition. And inside of that composition, we have the body and the perispirit. So here's just an illustration, so we can have an idea inside of that. So the spirit, that's being one of the elements, along with God as well, and the body and perispirit inside the matter element. So I'll talk first about the spirit. The spirit, it's a divine work, was created by God, by the divinity. We have in the spirit the processor of the intelligence. And inside of that, we have where the mind is. The mind is located in the spirit. And there resides our thoughts and our moral sense. So that's very important that we develop the moral sense and the moral understanding, because it goes directly to our spirit. The spirit is indivisible. You cannot divide the spirit. It's a whole thing. It's a whole being. So it's an individualization of the principal intelligence of each one, each unique being. It's eternal, everlasting, so has no end, no beginning, that we know and understand profoundly, but it's eternal. Also, according to question 146 of the Spirit's book, it's where the just my notes here. The spirits reside mainly in the mind, if it's a genius or someone scientific that has bigger understanding, then it's more towards the head. If the person is more a person that is connected to love, to help the community, to help others immorally, universally, will be located a little more towards the heart. But the spirit doesn't have exactly place what it is, can vary so much, according to this question 146. The perispirit, now we go into the matter, like I explained before. The perispirit is still matter, but it's a semi-material. It's more subtle compared to the body. So it's a fluidic envelope. That means that has more ether in that composition. Look vaporous to our human eyes. If we look, we could see, wow, it's almost disappearing, vaporous. But for the enlightened spirits, no, that is still a very heavy matter. So it's depending of the perspective we're looking. It changes forms. That goes according to each existence and the planets, the being it is. So it can change based on the needs of the incarnation or the needs of the planet or the universe where that being is. And also it gets subtle, more lighter when it's going through purification. It connects our body to our spirit. It's that connection between both. So receiving messages from one and passing to another in both ways. Then we have the more dense matter, that's the body. It's an envelope that has temporarily the soul, that is the incarnated spirit, we call soul. It enables the spirit to act through the material world, so we can have experiences, we can improve ourselves. It's a temple, so that's why we have to take care of that as well, because this allows us to experience, to improve. Otherwise, it will be difficult as spirits to understand certain things. We really need that experience here on this dense body. So as I said, I have the opportunity to advance through self-purification and has a limited life. It's impermanent. So just for a certain time, and depending on each planet that the body is, and will vary from age, but it's limited. Then I will go now for the energy centers. We call those energy centers also chakras. Chakras in Sanskrit means wheels. Those centers of energy They are located in the fluidic body, that is our perispirit, and also on our double ethereal. The double ethereal is the body that's between the body, the matter, the dense matter, and the semi-material, the perispirit. We still need that connection because of differentiation of vibrations and composition on this element. We need that the double ethereal. So it's a connection between both. So the chakras are located mostly towards the perispirit, but also has connections in the double ethereal that connects to the body through our nervous system. They have movements because they are wheels. That's why it's called wheels. They are vortices. Vortices is the plural of vortex. So they move usually in round circular movements, and they expand and they retract horizontally and also vertical. So they are in constant movement. The balance of those centers, of each of them, is very related and connected directly with our thoughts, with our vibrations. So that's why, like John and Sandra mentioned, that we need to try to be aligned and to be in balance all the time, because this affects those centers of energy of our whole body. So it's so important, of course, that we are human beings and we'll have variations of vibrations and of many emotions, many things along the days and minutes sometimes, but we need to try to come back and to be in balance. So we have a better balance between all those energy centers. And we have 7 mostly. I will go very, very general, very broad, because if I go in deep of each one, will be days of a course, because they are very complex. So, and they said that have more than 7 actually smaller ones, but I will focus on the principal ones. So when they count from bottom up, 1 to 7. So as you go from bottom, the bottom, they will have the spinning velocity, the spinning movement, but it is lower compared to the ones going higher. And they are less complex. They are simpler. The first one, the basic chakra, I'll be very general here. They are connected to our survival. So when we have imbalance, that or too much or too little of something, we create other problems. So like for this, that is located on the coccyx area, on the base of our spine. If we have a hyperactivity, if we focus so much and work on just on that chakra, we'll create excessive confidence. And if we don't take care of this part and we don't have that balance, that creates insecurity. So it's very important to have all aligned and in balance as well. This chakra is related to survival, to basic needs, to creations, our matter connections, our grounding point through this dense body. The next one is the sacral chakra that is located on the lower abdomen. And so when have balance, have pleasure, and working with all the other ones. So when it's hyperactivity, it's more going towards the sexual energy in a not balanced way, more sexualism. And when it's hypo, not working, goes to the other extreme, that is hypoactivity. So it's basically connected to the sexual needs, the self-worth, the creativity. It's in that chakra. Then we go 3, it's the third one, counting from bottom up, is the solar plexus chakra that is located on the bottom of our cage, on our hip rib cage, sort of. So when it's hyperactivated, we have arrogance, anger. When it's hypo, impotence, lower self-esteem. And when it's balanced, we have power of life, auto-transformation. So it's responsible for feelings, for emotions, and the sympathetic and nervous system. So then we have our heart chakra that's located in the middle where the heart is. So when it's in balance, we have love, and then we can work better towards unconditional love. That is what we come here in this existence to practice each time, unconditional love. So when it's hyper, when it's too much work in that and too much energy, it creates attachment, anger, and lack of trust. When it's hypo, it's very low to the extreme, creates indifference, anxiety. So it's the connection and balance with our circulatory system, with our blood system, and with our also connect to our nerves and our emotional. Then we going a little upper, we have the throat chakra. That is creates, when balanced, creates wisdom and knowledge. When it's on the extreme, is a hyperactive, abuse of knowledge, or hypo, contempt of knowledge. So they are responsible for the glands. All the glands in our body is connected to that throat chakra. So control our speech and also our breathing. Then we have a frontal chakra, also known by the name of third eye, and creates balance. When balance is in place, that creates an inspiration, an intuition, and otherwise we have mysticism if it's too much, or we have skepticism if it's too low, the energy in that chakra. It's responsible and it's very important because it's directly connected to our nervous system. And remember, the nervous system, it's so important to distribution of energy because we're receiving information from the perispirit that goes to the double ethereal and then connects to the nervous system. So this connection of this chakra is very important for this purpose of balance of energy too. So we having that chakra, this responsibility and the energy of the perception of the body, our own body, of the superior intelligence around us, and related to languages, culture, and knowledge as well. Then we go to the seventh chakra. That's a very, very important one. It's named crown chakra, or the coronary chakra as well. So inside that has a connection with our pineal gland, and we know that is very important. So directly that energy connects to the pineal gland. So it's said also, as I mentioned before, is where is the seat of our mind. And remember that the mind is the knowledge of the spirit. The brain is the matter of the body. That is where it's connected directly to the body, the processor, the more dense matter. But the mind is connected to the knowledge and everything that is from the spirit that passes through the perispirit and then goes directly to the brain that distributed through the nervous system and the intelligence and the processing of the functions that needs to be done in that order. So the mind connected to the spirit, it's resided, is seated mostly there, or at least is connected there. So it's involved in the development of the brain, the matter part, and the spinal cord, the nerves, the nerves, sorry. It's the connection of the spiritual world and the material world. So that chakra is very important. Also, that chakra is the chakra that distributed all the energies around the other chakras. So when we have passes and the distribution goes to those chakras, this chakra is the crown, is the one that will distribute it mostly like a filter to the other chakras, because the chakras are very important energetically. So diseases, problems, thoughts, and bad influences all changes our balance of those very important fields of energy. So if we have an emotional problem, so we'll be towards the solar plexus imbalance of that chakra. So the passes will help align it and balance back that chakra. So all can be connected because one impacts the other one. So if one part of the body is not well, the other ones will feel as well and will not work in the full potential, in the full way that is supposed to be working. So also, like was mentioned, that's the reason it's important when people are receiving passes that they are aligned and open, so the energy can enter those chakras and create a balance and rebalance back the energies. So it's a point of distribution of energy for our whole body, for us to function in our full potential, basically, and it's very important.
Just one thing before you go ahead.
Sorry,
go back here.
Okay.
Just for you to see, there is a little mistake here, but Patricia already mentioned, is the name is crown chakra and is on top of our head. It's just that it's written here. It was a copy of the previous slide. So just to remind you, crown chakra on top of our head is the last one.
Yes, that is also known by coronary name, coronary chakra, or the not the third eye. Yeah, it's mixed. Yeah. So for you to have an analogy, to understanding more visually, because some people are visually, we all learn it in a different way. I put this slide for you to have an idea. So if we have a glass of perfume, so the glass will be mostly the body. Then what is inside the perfume is the perispirit. And the essence that is around, that is generated, is the spirit, the essence. So yeah, just for we so have
like the liquid is the perispirit, yes, and the spray is the spirit.
Because the envelope of the matter that is called the perispirit, the semi-material, more fluidic, could be represented by, in this case, just as an analogy of this understanding.
That's yes, a good visual explanation.
Yeah, I like it. I said, for me, it was easier to understand. I liked that idea. And I said, probably will help other people understand, better. So, yeah, now your part. Again.
Yeah, no, so, we can actually, just to let you know, Jacques de Mello, he was very famous. Mary mentioned it before. So it's important for you to understand, if you want to read a little bit about it, understand. He goes very, very deep in each chakra, is a very good base, but it's just for us to understand that later on he went a little bit in different techniques or ideas from Spiritism, but it's a very good base. Do you want to do it?
No, that part was from her, but it's basically what we said before. The past givers and also the receiver, they need to be very tranquil, calm, and have habits of prayer. Why all that? Because then elevates our vibration. We go from the matter upper in vibration, long waves and faster waves. So the enlightened spirits can help us, can interfere in a good way in that dense matter. Also, knowledge of passes, knowing what you're doing, understand the responsibility is not going just there and using your ego, thinking, oh, I will be curing this person. No, you are just an instrument. You are just being used in a responsible way. So we need to understand that to do our best. So we need to be in prayer mode, use them as an instrument of love and what is needed for this being in front of me. So knowing that it's not you that do that, you're just a part of that, just an instrument. So an instrument, in order to work, needs to be attuned, needs to be clear to work better. So you cannot play a beautiful music if you don't have all attuned, all your instruments, your musical instruments in attunement, clean, and working in a good condition. So discernment, like knowing and understanding all the responsibility, what you're doing, the purposes, and mostly being in service mode. What is most important, you don't need to be perfect. We all here, we are not perfect. If we are here, it's for a reason, it's for learning. Each one is learning their own lessons, their own things. So understanding that if you are in a good connection, doing your part, and connected with love in a part of yourself, your intention, then you'll be an instrument. That is what is needed. You don't need to wait to be perfect and something miracles to happen. No, the work is there already. It's waiting. And the enlightened spirits need everybody that it has this purpose of helping. They are in need. So you just need to have this good intention. Thank you.
Awesome. Very good.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Very good. So now we have, let me just stop the presentation, and we have 15 minutes for questions and answers. So anyone on the chat that would like to ask anything, that's great. And anyone here? Yes, John?
It said when you're giving passes, you can feel the crown chakra open. If you don't feel it open, what does that mean?
So I'm just going to repeat because they said that people that they couldn't hear. So his question is, he said that when you're feeling happy, you feel your crown chakra open. Is that?
Open. Well, when but that means you're open to receive. When you're giving the pass, many times as you're giving the pass, you can feel the crown chakra open. If you don't feel that, is there something you should do?
Well, first of all, he's mentioning that when you're giving a pass, you feel the crown chakra of the person receiving open. Yes. The thing is that it's not every single person that has the sensibility. Like, when I give a pass, I see a lot of things. But it doesn't mean a lot of people will see or feel it. The important thing is really to connect what we are doing and understanding the crown chakra is the most important one. And then we connect all the other ones of the person to help this alignment. But not necessarily we have to feel this happening, because most of us will not feel anything. Any other questions? Yes, Elcina, then Jeffrey.
Talking about the chakra, that's why mostly people went through the passes, put in their head, that's to connect it basically directly to their head.
Exactly. Exactly. We started here. Later on, when we do the demonstration, we'll go little by little explaining, but we have to start here because that's where we receive the energy from the enlightened spirit. Of course, the past givers will be donated too, but the past givers receive from the enlightened beings through here, and then we transmit on the top of their heads. But we do a cleansing first, and then we start the distribution. Yes, Jeffrey? Oh,
Because remember that this chakra, the crown chakra, they attune all the other ones. So distributed as needed. It's like has an intelligence per se through the other ones. So distributed and go in alignment, balance the other.
very good, Jeffrey.
I was curious if you could talk more about like sort of the chakras and what happens with each of them, like during a pass. Like, are they somehow activated or maybe cleansed somehow? Or
I read some material and it has so many things to be said about each one connect to mediumship, especially, but it will be too much. And we'll need a day to study just that, to go in depth. It's very interesting because each chakra is connected to a different mediumistic process and mediumistic field. In each one has this nervous and this energy connection. But it's a subject that we need to go deeply. It's a lot. It's very complex, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it's really good. If you have time, it's great to read and to understand. But it's important for us to understanding Spiritism. We are not going to go in each person in one chakra. We will do really a very general because we don't know what each person has of a need. So that's why it's good for us to have a general knowledge of what each one. What is the function of each one? Exactly as Patricia said, there are many chakras. These are the main ones. There are many other little ones throughout the whole body. So it's good as a general understanding, but in Spiritism, we don't need to focus on in each one of them. But it's great for us to understand, yes, they are there, and each one has a specific need.
I want to complement something that I forgot during the presentation. I mentioned especially the three bodies, the most important ones for general broad ideas, but it's important to know that we are composed by many bodies, innumerable bodies in layers. So it's not just the body, perispirited, double ethereal, and the spirit. No, we have so many layers between those. So we are composition of all that, very complex. I just want to clarify that so we just don't think that has just three bodies. We have so many more. And the variation is inside the matter that goes from more fluidic or less fluidic and varies from denser matter to more subtle, more lighter matter.
Yeah. Good. Elcira, yeah.
Are we going to talk about distance paths?
Are you talking about what?
Distance.
Distant past. Yes. We can actually talk about a little bit now. I just want to let you know, my friends, that you are online. If you have any questions, please just add to the chat so we can see here, and then we can answer if we have time. We have 8 minutes, so just write it down. If we don't have time to answer right now, then I can WhatsApp you the answer later on. I'm not an email person. I'm a WhatsApp person. But so the passes that are at distance, that's actually the one that we call the irradiation passes. That's what we do in the InnerLight on Tuesdays on the second phase of our studies. So the person is in their home or is in a hospital or whatever the person is, but because it's a treatment, it's not a simple pass, it's a treatment. So the person needs to follow guidelines. In our website, we have the guidelines the person needs to follow, very similar to our. The person cannot have had alcohol, the person has to have a light meal. But the very important thing is the person has to have faith on what we are doing so they can be a good receiver. Because if the person is like, oh, I don't care, I don't want this, you already created your cemented wall and nothing is going to be benefiting this person. But this person needs to have commitment. Commitment is something very important in spirituality. We know the spirits are extremely busy, But if we said we're going to be here from 10 to 4, they will be here from 10 to 4, guiding us and helping. At the 4:01, they're gone. But so that's why it's important for us to be committed in whatever we said we're going to do, be there. So a person that wants to do a treatment, our guidelines is 4 weeks or 4 treatments. So for those days, that person like, okay, is from 8 to 9. So that person from 8 to 9 should be following the guidelines in their home. So very basic. They will lay down, they will do a prayer, they will have a bottle of water, and they will be reading the gospel or the Bible or listening to some kind of soothing music. So yes, no cell phones, no TVs, no fighting with the roommate. These are basic things to be a good receiver. So yes, and they are very, very effective. Very, very effective. Very good question. John?
And just to mention that it's not just good spirits helping us here for this presentation. There are protective spirits, and this was arranged with a lot of planning beforehand. So it's just not a spirit coming up. This is a big occurrence in the spirit world for our benefit.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys heard John, but he's just saying that this is not just our commitment, is the commitment also the spirituality. And in addition to the spiritual guides of Mia InnerLight and the inner enlightenment, all our guardian angels are here also inspiring and helping us, and a lot of spirits that are here starting with us and others that are here on the treatment. Isn't that interesting? Some of them are receiving a treatment. So this is very good for us to know. Any other questions online? Any questions online? Inner enlightenment, you guys know everything. You don't even ask a question. You don't ask a question. That's amazing. I will be asking questions to you guys exactly like when I was there.
We are not allowing anybody ask any question, Angy. Angy, just one thing.
You have 5 minutes. You can have a question. You have 5 minutes.
I just want to mention one of the attributes of the spirit. I think somebody wrote eternal. No, spirit is immortal. It does have a beginning and no end. God is eternal, no beginning and no end. Just like to remind ourselves.
Yes, a very good point. Exactly. We have a point of creation. We were created at a point, but we will never end. As when we start our beginning, start somewhere in some point. Very good, awesome. So, if any other questions here? Everybody knows everything. Let's wait for the second part when I start asking questions. That's going to be exciting.
Everybody's hungry.
Very good. So we are going to, let me just confirm here. So we are really good with time. I'm super, super happy. So we are going to have our lunch break, and we will come back here 1:20, punctual, 1:20, okay? So enjoy your lunch break, and I see you guys in a little bit less than 1 hour.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys. See you in a few minutes.
Deixa ligado tudo, tá? Só toca no modelo.